Hello everybody and welcome to Week in Tech. My name is Karamjit and with me is my co-host Aisha Mustafa. Aisha, how's it going?
Good, as usual.
As usual, okay, great. We've got a redesign of net value and actually a redesign of the edge coming up in Monday's issue, right? And also so those of you who are watching it are not getting first glimpse actually because this comes out on a Monday evening. But you pick up a copy of the edge over the weekend. But anyway, you can see I think the layout is supposed to be a bit cleaner. I'm not really much into layout and design, as you can probably tell from my dressing also. But I know most people seem to like it. They think it's cleaner, whatever that means. And of course, there is now a caricature of Aisha and me. Although my complaint is they've made her caricature look better than mine, but let's not get picky.
I think it's true to life.
I don't think so. I'm sure I don't look this bad or this scary anyway. But anyway, aside from that, listen, the cover story is of a company that I was very excited in visiting, a bit apprehensive also, because ATSB is actually stands for Astronautic Technology Malaysia Sdn Bhd. These are the guys who built the small satellite that was put up into space last year in July, I think the 14th of July. And this is a small satellite that was put up to circle the equator, right? So I went to visit the CEO, Dato' Sabirin. Let me just give you his full name. Dato' Dr. Ahmad Sabirin Arshad. Yeah, he's the CEO. And he's been the CEO of ATSB since it was started in 1986, 14 years ago. Met up with Sabirin and I was extremely impressed. Just the tour of visiting the facilities took almost 2 hours because with the kind of questions I was asking and us interacting and all. Fascinating industry. And while it's high-tech, if you were to visit their labs, Aisha, or their R&D bench, as he calls it, it almost looks like a university, lab where, engineering students maybe play around and tinker with things.
Oh, right.
Because the satellite business, is not a volume game, which is kind of obvious when you think about it. And some of these satellites that they're building, a lot of the components are actually, put together by hand, So it's quite incredible to see that happening. Anyway, these guys have got a satellite up there. It's a MOF company, started off in 1986. They only got a startup fund from MOF, and I think it's around 50 million ringgit. And after that, they've been operating on cash flow, which is quite amazing to think of it. This is a Ministry of Finance company. No more money from the government beyond the year one, and they've been, surviving on making sales.
Are they profitable though?
Profitable, yes. He says he's been able to give his staff 2 to 3 month bonuses, in years, not regularly, but in years where they do well, staff get bonuses, so that's incredible. He's running it like a commercial entity, but there's some really great quotes from Dato' Sabirin also, who comes across also as a solid guy. I'm glad I met him. So I think under the stable of Mosti, I would put ATSB as one of those other good companies that are out there quietly doing their work. They don't get the profile of Biotech Corp and of course, MDEC, right? And also of MIMOS, because our space industry is so nascent, it's almost non-existent. So you don't get entrepreneurs coming up to us and saying, hey, we've got this great idea, we want to put something up in space or technology, right? So that's why these guys operate so below the radar that they're not recognized. But I think they deserve to be recognized, which is why I decided to put a full picture of the whole team there. I think they've done really great work in building, a satellite and then putting it up into space. Of course, the launch facilities were in the Marshall Islands, but hey, you don't need to own everything or the whole value chain yourself, right? But this owning of the technology and the IP and learning how to build your own satellites, which are basically communication tools, right, is excellent. So they've done some really good work. Interestingly enough, when you launch a satellite, Aisha, the Marshall Islands where they launched, they had a test launch also.
Right.
And in the test launch,
so they launch it and then bring it back?
But no. They just launch to see whether the boosters and the rocket will take it into space.
Okay.
So the satellite isn't there. Although it mimics the load of it, right? You just put something else in there. Right. But they've also had space where they created space within the rocket, where they could carry other people's satellites also. And in that satellite launch, according to Dato' Sabirin, there were the ashes of Scotty, Scotty from Star Trek fame, and his dog, because Scotty wanted to be floating up in space, closer to his maker, along with his beloved dog. So there were 2 capsules with ashes of his Scottish dog and Scotty himself. I forgot what Scotty's real name is,
the
engineer.
I don't watch.
Okay. And so they were in the test launch, right? Then these capsules were released and they're just floating around in space. And he says people will pay in the thousands of US dollars for that. So, they actually made some money out of that test launch too. Pretty interesting.